Okay. Okay, we're here, everyone. We're here. It's STG Weekly. It's back. For the one-time summer episode. Just kidding. We'll probably have some more stuff coming up, but yeah, we're covering Touhou again. This time, the third game in the Touhou series, and this one is Touhou 3: Phantasmagoria of Dim. And we got all sorts of people here, including some world record holders as guests and additional guests as well. Myself and my host Extruder are here. Yeah. And yeah, what's up, Extruder? And then our guests are going to be Zil and KirbyComment. So hello, Zil and KirbyComment.
Hey.
And additional guest as well is Chum as well. So welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the show. So yeah, Touhou 3, it kind of resembles a bit like Twinkle Star Sprites. The game came out in 1997, early on for the Touhou games. I mean, just only the second one was the first one that actually was an actual shmup, right? Because the first one was the Arkanoid game, isn't that right?
Yes.
We covered that.
Yeah. So this is, it's early on, and I mean, this game's pretty dang wild, and I'm excited to hear what these guys are gonna illuminate for us throughout the episode. And of course, we'll be doing the whole thing as we usually do on the show, talking about the basics and how the game works and what kind of characters we're looking at and how the game plays and that type of thing to get us ready to see the devastation of this game. And I mean, it won't be competitive runs we're going to be looking at. We'll be looking at the 1v1 versus the CPU as far as the world record scoring runs. Yeah, but it is a pleasure to have you all here. So yeah, Zil, if you want to take it away and talk about Phantasmagoria of Dim.
Okay, so it's a versus game, a lot like Twinkle Star Sprites. You can see the screen is split into two with one player on each side. You got a health bar at the top. The basic idea, again, much like Twinkle Star Sprites, is these enemies, they look like stars, ghosts, etc. They filter into the screen, you destroy them, they cause these chain reactions, and that causes bullets and other attacks to appear on the other player's screen. As you get these chain reactions, they fill this blue gauge at the bottom of the screen, which you can see is split into 4 sections. You can use various levels of charge attack. Again, much like Twinkle Star Sprites. The first quarter of the gauge is always full. You just hold the shot button and fill it up till it reaches the edge of that, and you'll release a charge attack. That does not cost any energy. The first section is always filled, but as you charge it up higher, say up to the second level, you release a charge at level 2 that uses up some of the energy, but in addition to a charge attack, causes a big pattern of bullets to appear on the other player's field. And unlike Twinkle Star Sprites, which is very focused around the extra attacks, the big, rabbits and dragons and things, this game has a huge focus on small pellet bullets. So you'll, even just using a level 2 charge, you can get a huge swarm of bullets on the other player's screen. Charge up to level 4, that gives you a boss attack. You can also get boss attacks from getting a big enough combo, chain reactions. And the bosses are like what you'd expect. They float around, they shoot a bunch of bullets. Eventually they leave, or you can kill them. They have, they take damage. You have these bombs that you can see in the lower corner, a little circle with a B in it. Bomb just damages the whole screen, destroys everything. Damages bosses, doesn't kill them instantly, but does a lot of damage to them.
There's also hyper mechanic.
Yeah, the hyperwave. When you're out of bombs and your gauge is filled completely, you can do a special attack, essentially, where you press the bomb button, and that will turn you invincible, and your gauge will start depleting back down to the first section there, and your character will have a somehow enhanced mode of attack. It's a little different for different characters, but all of them turn invincible, and you get stronger. So it's kind of like having another bomb. Allows you to protect yourself when your gauge is filled, but then of course it empties your gauge. And all the characters, bullet patterns, extra attacks, etc., are different. I'm not sure which one's showing currently.
Ellen versus Marissa.
Yeah. All right. So those big red circles, those are Ellen's extra attack. The lasers coming up are Marissa's extra attack. And so you get a lot of very different gameplay depending on which character is up against which. And then, of course, these runs that we're going to watch are score runs, not actual PvP. Unfortunately, there's no real way to play this game against another person over the internet. So you have to actually find another pod player in real life, which, of course, is very unlikely.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's grim.
So,
yeah, it's a good game to play with your family. Yes.
So, is there any glaring thing that I overlooked? Or
The basics are all there.
all right.
I guess something I want to mention about bombs. There are no death bombs. So if you get hit, you will get hit. Death bombs were not introduced until the next Touhou game, Lotus Land Story.
Yeah, death bomb being when you bomb on the same, or actually a couple frames after getting hit, you can save yourself. Doesn't exist in this one.
Yeah.
So whenever you shoot a star down, it activates a small explosion and goes into chain reaction, so it cancels all the white pellets around it.
Yes, other enemies that enter that explosion will themselves explode, and also the fireballs will explode as well. Bullets just get reflected back to the other player's screen.
The enemies also have different colors, and that indicates something they need to take before they're destroyed. So it goes from pink to blue to green to red.
Yes.
And pink takes 4 hits, I think.
Yeah.
5, I think. Just 5.
And that was like a thing in Twinkle Star Sprites, wasn't it? With like the hardness of the enemies and the chains too.
Yeah, it was color-coded health. Yep.
It's interesting how closely they resemble each other.
Yeah, it's
this
very
game is-
similar to Twinkle Star Sprites.
Yeah, very clearly inspired, shall we say.
Yeah, it's like watered down in terms of the split screen mechanic. There's not as much split screen action going on in this game, but much more crazy in terms of bullet hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Twinkle Star Sprites by comparison has very little to no bullets. So
Yeah, that's fewer, bigger bullets in Twinkle Star Sprites. This game actually looks like a bullet hell with hundreds of really small ones.
And you do
Yeah,
have
so
the
they-
small hitbox, right?
Yes, very
Mhm.
small.
Even though it's still
Yeah.
early on, that was an early establishment.
The bullet hitboxes are pretty what you'd expect from the sprite, but the player hitbox is super tiny.
Mm-hmm.
boxes are also very small, like when you physically hit them. Like there's a lot of lenience on that. Pretty well inside the enemy and not get hit physically by ramming into them.
If you could describe, like in a few sentences or like a paragraph or something, like how the general game flow how does the general game flow of the game go? If anyone wants to step up and say that, because I just like to hear it kind of set out like that. I think it helps people understand what's going on.
In this game, unlike in most shmup games, in this game the difficulty level starts out extremely high and retains that high throughout the whole game.
Damn.
That is if you play on Lunatic. So the game is coked up from stage 1.
Even
that is one of the
kill you.
Yeah, and that's one of the big appeals of this game. There is just no stop in the action. It's just non-stop, ridiculous gameplay all the way through. And yeah, that's the game flow, pure intensity.
I guess something about the difficulty that can be mentioned, because we are only going to be watching Lunatic runs here. On the lower difficulties, the speed of the enemies and like how many hits they take, like they're generally slower. And on Lunatic, they start out with the highest speed.
Okay.
And generally, on Lunatic, the bullets also travel the fastest, while on lower difficulties, they go slower. But generally, the bullet density isn't really that much different, other than that lower difficulties, you have lower rank, which maybe Zil, you want to explain the rank?
I mean, yeah, it's
Too.
It's similar to what you'd get in most games with a rank mechanic. It's much more noticeable on non-Lunatic because the game will start out slow and speed up. On Lunatic, everything's top speed. So the only things that scale up are the boss level and spell level. Those little numbers in the bottom left and right corner. Which basically it's just when you use a spell, the spell level goes up and your future spells will be stronger. When a boss is summoned, the boss level goes up and future bosses will be stronger. And I didn't say the stage progression, that kind of thing, which maybe is part of what you were referring to before. There's 9 stages, 9 characters in the game. As you go through, you fight them one by one. The final boss, always Yumemi. The stage 8 boss is always Chiuri. Stage 7 is determined by the character you're playing, and then the first 6 stages are randomized with the remaining 6 characters. And so you win by depleting the other character's health. Since we're playing against the AI, it works kind of predictably. If you can remember POFV, how it worked in that, essentially it tries to get hit at pre-planned times. Doesn't always succeed. Sometimes it dies early. Sometimes it strangely lives a very long time, but generally speaking, it's coded to lose after a certain time has passed. And again, I guess
one exception.
Oh yeah, stage 9. The first round against stage 9, and again, this is similar to POFV. She has no timer. She'll never lose on purpose. She can still lose, and unlike in POFV, where winning the first round against the final boss is virtually impossible, in this it's totally doable. It's hard and random, of course, because it depends on her behavior, but you can win the first round against her. It's just she will not ever get hit on purpose.
There's also a way to purposely make Yumemi not die when you score, but we'll get into that in the Ellen run, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting into some more of the nuances. When I was asking about the game flow, I mean that was great, your explanations, but I was kind of more asking real-time game flow in terms of the charge shot. Well,
we can talk about that during the run.
Okay, I mean,
let's switch.
Okay, we'll switch it up because so another thing is this game is pretty long. We're looking at 40-minute replays here, so we'll be getting pretty nitty-gritty into this game. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of kind of where we're going to be going on. I mean, this game, like most of the Touhou games, it's overwhelming looking at it a little bit, But hopefully we can feel comfortable as we go along here. I mean, those bullets are so fast, and the seizure-inducing flashes and whatnot. It can be a bit much.
If you're sensitive to it, yeah.
And watching the CPU like magically dodge everything is like mind-boggling. But yeah.
Oh yeah, don't watch the CPU.
Which is on the right side.
CPU is cheating.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna bring the replay screen up here, and we're gonna start with what Mimi was the name of the character?
Mima.
Mima.
Meme.
I should go to the video.
Memes.
And down, I guess.
She's a meme-heavy character, as it happens. But yeah, Mima.
And this was the run by whom again?
Me.
This is Zil's world record run. Okay, great.
Not world record. My actual
Okay.
high score is too blurry to watch, so I'm using this instead.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The
Well,
highest score.
It's the
The
one
highest
record
score is
with Mima.
132.
Yeah,
Record
130.
with Mima.
But it's the second highest score, so good.
okay, close to world record score from the world record player. They're here. It's great. Okay, let me bring that up.
Score is 132 million, and that run uses Theory, who is in theory the best character for scoring.
Hmm.
I say in theory because he's incredibly hard to use and definitely the hardest character to get A1CC with.
And if people do have questions about the gameplay or what we're talking about, feel free to throw those in during the runs when we're talking, and we can interject and answer those as we go along. Just throw that out there. But yeah, alright, so we can do a countdown on that video. And it'll be a 3, 2, 1, go countdown. We'll all start together and get this thing going. Alright.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Oh yeah, the music there. Let me put this other one up.
All right, so first of all, let me just say, you'll notice my first stage opponent is Ellen. I said the stages are randomized, and since this is a score run, there's certain characters you'll want to get first and later. Ellen, I think, is ideal in stage 1, so what I do is I restart repeatedly until I get a good stage 1 opponent. Doesn't have to be Ellen, but ideally it's Ellen. But anyway, the first thing you want to do in a score run, the basic idea is you're going to use level 2 spells to make these pellet bullets appear on your opponent's screen. And then they will reverse those bullets. They'll send them back to you by catching them in the exploding enemies. And then that'll send fireballs and more bullets to your screen. And then you can reflect those back, get a big chain reaction, and big combos like that give you a lot of points. Ellen's already dead. That's a common thing with her. That's the main reason you want her first, because having her die early in stage 1 does not cost you nearly as much as having her die early later on. Now we have Kana. Kana's very similar to Ellen in that she often dies early, so this was a lucky stage order, I guess you could say.
So if you're going for a survival clear, you want them to be later, because later stages last longer.
Yeah, and Kana's probably easiest character to play against. If you can see, her extra attack is this bird that flies across and drops those bullets straight down. It's very easy to deal with.
The spell has a safe spot in the middle.
Yeah. So like I said, using level 2 spells, you can see it sends the enemy reflects the spell, sends a bunch of fireballs. The fireballs tend to be aimed at you. They will go up to the top of the screen and fall straight down. Not always. There is actually a a working to it, a sort of a way to anticipate what they'll do, which maybe I'll get into later. But for now, suffice it to say, often the fireballs will be aimed at you, and the bullets are always aimed in your general direction. So when you send a spell and the enemy reflects it, what you want to do is be near the hearts or the ghosts or whatever, so you can destroy them, and the explosion from them will catch those fireballs, catch the bullets, and get you a big combo. And that's basically the core of the scoring in this game, is trying to make the enemy send as many attacks your way as possible, and then
let's talk about the stage bonus.
The stage bonus. But yeah,
the stage bonuses are... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You get points at the end of the stage for every spell you cast, every boss attack you summoned, things like that. It rewards you for doing what you should be doing anyway. So specifically worrying about the stage bonus, it wouldn't change your gameplay very much. But yeah, the more stuff you cause to happen, the higher your bonus will be.
There is, though, on the later stages, when you get these really, really long rounds and you have to start worrying about suiciding, then you might want to start thinking about the clear bonus.
Yeah, that is true. So what this game is so much, it's hard to know what to talk about next. And also, I mean, can you follow what's happening on screen?
There are 2 extra lives in the game.
Oh yeah, the extra lives, you get them from very low score thresholds. So essentially, you're always going to have 5 lives to work with, unless you die really, really early. And those lives...
10 million and 20.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, from what I can gather, like, the focal point seems to be the volleyball of the chains and bullets, so if you're not sure what to look at, I'm trying to see how those bullets are being, attacks are being sent back over and over, because it's like, it's like, if you're not following along, like, you don't know where it is in the volleyball. Like, is it far
really
in, or did it start?
I think you should talk about the bosses, like how the boss interaction works.
Okay, the bosses. Basically, when you get these combos of things exploding, you'll see this number appear in the upper left. The yellow number is the spell points.
Even though it shows 99 hits, it can go much farther than that.
Yeah, the hit
255.
Oh, you do get a clear bonus for your max hit, and that's the only thing that the actual hit number affects. But the spell points themselves, at I think 51,200, something like that, you'll trigger a boss attack automatically. That's generally a good thing in a score run. You want to make as many bosses as possible. And there's this. Should we talk about the spell point escalating now?
Yeah, that's like very complicated, but you have to address it at some point because it's very important.
Yeah. All right. So you see that yellow number, the spell points. You get it to 51,200. Trigger a boss attack. What that does for the other player, he makes a boss on their screen, and then what I've called the spell point requirement, since this game doesn't have much terminology of its own. Essentially, the spell point requirement for summoning another boss increases for the other player. So if they want to summon a boss of their own to get rid of yours, they have to get like 100,000 spell points. But it increases by the same amount every time. But I don't.
Yeah, so basically 51,000 times 2.
Yeah. And then if they manage to get to that number and send the boss back, because only one boss can be out at a time, then you will have a boss on your screen, and then your spell point requirement will be 150,000. And if you send it back, then their requirement will be 200,000. So it gets progressively harder to keep bouncing the balls back and forth. But you get a lot of points in your clear bonus for reversing a boss. So it's very desirable to keep bouncing it back and forth over and over again. And again, the boss makes bullets on the other player's screen, and that's good for you because then they will send them back to you, and you can get combos with them.
When does the volleyball end exactly? Just for clarification.
All right.
And do you guys like say volleyball when you talk about this game? I don't know. I just made that up.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay. Cool.
Basically, if you want to try and follow it, you'll see when my character uses a level 2 spell, the game will kind of pause, and you see Mima's face appear there, and then these big white bullets explode out of the corner in the other player's field. That's Mima's spell attack. The enemy then, by shooting some of the stars or the ghosts or whatever they are, will make a chain reaction. The bullets that enter that chain reaction will be sent back to me, and also you'll see there's like these little blue circles that come out of it, and those go over to the top of my screen and become fireballs. And so if you kind of watch the bullets enter the chain reaction and then sort of flow back over to the top of my screen and fall down as fireballs and more bullets, and then I'll catch those, ideally, in another chain reaction. And theoretically, it can just keep going back and forth with fireballs, then bosses, and still more fireballs and bullets. It only really ends when one player just fails to send everything back and just has to dodge it or get hit by it. So the stuff going off screen. And yeah, I mean, it's really fast. It can easily be very hard to follow.
So like, there's like a like you're starting new, like you're kind of like, can you have like say a volleyball session far in and then start a new one like halfway in and then have like two things going like at the same, like almost simultaneously? Like, is that a thing that happens? Does that make any sense?
As far as the spell points go, they'll both contribute to the same number up there, so you can have two separate combos in that sense.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So you have the hit thing. Okay. Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah, they link together if you do it fast.
So you just want to keep that that chain as we normally know them going in shmups. So yeah. You got to keep them going so you can keep that combo, but keep it going. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and the spell points have a limit that they reach. When you reach that, they'll reset. The spell points are added to your score when you lose the chain, and then you just start them over again from zero.
Okay, neat. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was asking earlier about the game flow, like what we should be looking for essentially. It's so hard to watch it. It really is. But if you know, you know. So now we know.
Yeah. So cast a lot of level 2 spells, get a lot of big combos, get your spell points really high over and over again. Those are the basic goals.
Gotcha. Yeah, the goals. Yeah.
That Rikako fight didn't seem very great.
It may very well have not been. Like, it's hard to talk about and watch at the same time. But now we have stage 6. Stage 6 is the last of the random stages.
And the stages do get longer and more difficult each stage, even though they're random. So it's kind of like Psycho would do it with their early stages.
Yes. The timer basically increases with every stage. And also if you die on a stage, that the timer will lower, so it becomes easier to win that round.
Yeah, so getting a really lucrative opponent in stage 6 is really good, and Rikako is the most lucrative opponent. He got her in stage 5, and now he has Mima, who's also really good to get in stage 6, but harder than Rikako, so easier to mess up.
Yeah, Mima's very deadly, but she also has very good scoring potential, so getting her in stage 6 can be a double-edged sword. You have a lot of potential to get a high score, but you could also get killed and lose the run. And yeah, the early stages go by really quick, so I haven't had much time to talk about the individual characters. But
I was actually gonna say something about that, like about how they move and their charge speed and such.
yeah, well, Mima at least. I'll talk about Mima now because I'm also playing Mima. She moves pretty fast. Her charge attack is this big cone in front of her, very powerful, a lot of coverage. And you may have noticed her spell attack is these bullets coming out of the corner. Generally, for scoring purposes, it's really good if your spell makes a lot of bullets coming from one spot, because that has the potential to get massively reflected back at you and cause a huge wall of bullets, which, you know, can be deadly, but also is a good scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
When do you want to use the level 1 charge attack?
What about that?
When
You
Mima
use
uses level 1?
Oh, well, for self-defense mainly is the use of the level 1, but also you can use it to kill enemies that you couldn't reach otherwise, and thus start a chain reaction. As far as that goes,
To kill enemies really fast if you need to.
yeah, Mima's isn't the best for that because it's kind of too big. That's one of the weaknesses of her character. Her charge attack's really good for killing bosses, really good for self-defense, but not great for sort of fine-tuning the combo game, I guess you could say. But, you know, I'd say Mima's probably the most popular pick for scoring in this game because she does make survival a lot easier, and she's really good overall for scoring anyway.
Okay, we have the decisive match right now. It depends on the character, so in Mima's case, it's always Raymond.
That was a really good stage 6, by the way. Great scoring, great dodges.
Yeah, like 8 million clear bonus, I think, right? That's
Very high,
is
very high.
Yeah, you made some amazing dodges in there.
this is a good score to enter stage 7 with. At least for me, like 60 million is like really good. So I'm at 58 million. That's a very good pace, especially with no deaths up to this point.
Having Reimu in stage 7 is really hard, though. That makes Mima really difficult. It's maybe not as hard as Kotohime like Shiri gets, but still pretty deadly.
Yeah, she's one of the deadly ones.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's another-
second
another
hardest
thing.
after Kotohime.
Yeah. So that is something to think about when you choose a character, who you get in stage 7.
Because when we look at these level 3 attacks from Reimu, it's like tiny yin yang orbs all over the screen. With there's some very tiny safe spots you can create. And you have to stand in the right spots to even create those safe spots, otherwise they won't appear, since it's part random. Part static and part aimed. And then even in those safe spots, there could be like a big yin yang orb or pellet bullets or something. So you're sometimes you're like forced to get hit.
As we just saw.
Small,
Took some hits there.
Yeah.
small yin yang orbs, you, by the way, can't reflect those. They're basically like this unique bullet type that belongs to that character. And every character has a bullet type like that.
Yeah, you can't reflect the level 3 spell thingies.
Good to know.
Just saw Mima use that hyper over there, and that hyper actually auto fires. I think the only shot hyper that does that.
Unless you count Marissa's laser, I guess. Or Ellen's crappy thing. But yeah, so...
That's the hyper going on right now? Sorry.
Yeah, that's the hyper. And during the hyper, you can't use any charge attacks or anything. You just have to wait for it to run out. So you can't really control what's going on the same way.
Oh yeah, if the enemy
Basically
uses a
just for
hyper,
safety.
like the AI, that usually means they're going to die after that.
And what's the hyper good for again?
It saves your life, makes you invincible.
Oh, they're invincible the whole time. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
nice. Okay, forgot.
That's
Okay, depletes like the first level.
You can chain during the hyper too, but it would in theory be better to just use level 2s instead. But if you're, I mean, this game is extremely hard, so yeah, you might just kill yourself if you use level 2s instead of using hyper.
Yeah, that's the big part of it. Essentially, is that everything you do that increases your scoring potential also makes the game harder.
Yeah,
because it sends bullets back at you, and you're
that's part of what makes this one of my favorite games of all time. You make the game extremely hard on purpose, just because that's the only way to get a high score. Is you don't necessarily do hard tricks. You make the game harder. Full stop. Because reflecting stuff and getting stuff reflected at you, it's harder.
It's the nature
Touhou
of
is
the
harder.
beast.
Yeah.
especially when you're out of bombs, because then you know you need the full gauge to use a hyper, but if you cast spells, your gauge is reduced, so it's extremely risky out of bombs to keep using spells, but that's a risk you have to take oftentimes.
Yeah, it's fucking intense. I mean, this fucking shit's crazy. I remember,
It's really fun when you're. It's really fun when you're on a run that you feel is subpar, and you decide like, oh man, I'm just gonna YOLO now, and like you're not gonna use
shit.
any hypers, just gonna spam level 2s no matter what, and that can be some of the most fun you can have with this game when you just stop giving a shit.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you
So-
you get like in the zone too, during some of those moments.
Of course, I mean
Yeah.
you have to be so into the game.
yeah, because none of this is predictable, right? It's all very chaotic.
Everything is reaction. You're reacting to everything, and there's a lot you're reacting to that none of us have talked about yet.
Yeah. I mean,
There's so much to it. There's like a very purpose game, like lots of things.
Yeah, like there's a lot of improvisation, like no stage, no match is the same basically. Like you always have to react to new things.
Why don't you talk about like how you predict the enemy formations?
Okay.
That's really interesting to me.
Well, okay. So the enemies, you'll notice there's only one formation of enemies on the screen at a time. The next one appears when the previous one was destroyed. So you'll quickly realize playing this game that it's very, very desirable for an enemy formation to be appearing just as a bunch of crap descends upon you, so that you can use that formation to protect yourself. And with most characters, the way you can achieve that is when you use a level 2, use the charge attack that also comes out with it to clear away all the enemies on the screen, so that a new wave of them will start appearing immediately, and then you'll be prepared to intercept the fireballs that are coming down on you. And so there's a very subtle timing to it, really, especially if you can try to get a sense of when the enemy's gonna reflect your attack based on the formation that's on their screen at that time. And so even the position you're in on the screen can have a huge impact. Because, for instance, you'll notice I often run to the left side of the screen when I'm anticipating a big wall of bullets. And generally speaking, the reason for that is you'll see when this crap flies over from the enemy screen, it has to physically go to the top of my screen before it materializes into a bullet or a fireball. And so the result is that things that are going to appear on the left, in the upper left corner, reach it slower than things that appear on the right. And it's just a split second. But by going to the right, you can delay the arrivals that are aimed at you, and so buy yourself a little more time to have the formations appear in a desirable place. Or, on the other hand, there may be times when you're like, okay, this formation appeared too soon, so I need the fireballs to reach me immediately. In that case, you go to the right, so they reach you sooner.
That's amazing.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like you get a sense for that after a while, or something.
Yeah, you need to be able to sort of honestly watch both screens to an extent, so you can sense.
Oh god, watching both screens.
So
Screen watcher detected.
Something about those enemy formations actually is that the formation that appear are random, but whichever order they kind of like take, they will be the same for both screens. So when you're seeing the start of this next match here, you'll see that these enemy formations will start coming down, and they're the same ones that like in order.
Yeah,
and so you can use that to also kind of predict what's coming.
Yeah, and you use that to your advantage, right? Like you delay your formation a little bit so that you can see on the other screen which formation is coming every time.
The beginning of the match, because once you're really far in, the timings and cycles of that just deviate so much that you can't rely on it anymore.
Yeah, it's most useful towards the beginning. But yeah, it's definitely something you can use to tremendous effect even.
Damn! Watching that was...
Oh yeah, this is my favorite boss fight.
Yeah, Chiri has the highest HP in the game. Like the boss, her boss.
Yeah, we should actually mention that the boss attacks in this game, they have a different amount of health points. And so Chiri has the highest with 140 HP. The final boss, Yumemi, has 130. Kana have 100, and the rest have 110.
Mm-hmm.
With Chiri having the highest HP is actually the most annoying, because Chiri's boss attack is the only one that doesn't like travel a set path. It constantly teleports, and whichever place it teleports to is random, so it won't really outright kill the boss attack because it has high HP and is very unpredictable. And also the bullet patterns are very, very dangerous.
Yeah, Cheer is fairly infamous in this game for being just insane. My high score, the record, was done playing as this boss, Chiri, precisely because she just creates more bullets than any other character in the game. But as a result of that, she's also extremely hard to play because she makes survival very difficult. And because a lot of the bullets
also the highest.
Yeah. And there's very good things about her because she's really fast. Her charge attack is really precise, really good
great for offense and control, but not as good to survive when if you want to get rid of something and you have to move right or left, but there might be something in the way, then you can't do it as Cheer because it's so narrow.
Mm-hmm.
And Ellen's charge attack, like her stronger shots, it doesn't do that much damage, and it also has this kind of limitation where you can't shoot, hyper, or bomb as long as the
You mean
like the charge
Chiri,
attack
not
is
Ellen.
Yeah, Chiri, you mean.
Also, Marisa has the same limitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, when her laser spawns, you can't do anything. You just have to wait for the laser to disappear.
Yeah, that's tough because in this boss fight is very heavy on the bullet streaming with the level 2s and level 3s lasting a very long time and creating aimed bullets for the whole duration. So you have to do this, if there's a lot of lasers on the screen, you have to do this like Mima tapping. And you can also abuse the level 1 invulnerability frames to go through lasers if you're really ballsy. Maybe you should explain how that works.
Oh yeah, essentially whenever you use a charge attack, you get a short window of invincibility, and you can use it to pass through things.
Oh, that's nice.
I do use that.
Extremely short duration though.
Yeah, I use it in the next stage actually, so you'll get to see it.
Yeah, I think all of us use it on Yumemi, on that one Yumemi attack.
Yeah, it's
Otherwise, I don't use it anywhere else personally. I don't know about you though.
it's much harder to
Is it
use
either?
than in POFV because it actually you don't get the invincibility as soon as you release the button. There's a short delay, then you're invincible, then you're vulnerable again. So it's really.
nice.
Do you know how many frames you're invulnerable for?
I think it's 6/10 of a second.
That's not a lot.
It's not.
I think it's 10 frames out of 60
yeah.
FPS.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
it
that's
really
the
that long? It
standard
doesn't seem that
default
long.
timing.
I think it's 10 in POFV, 6 in this.
I don't
I
think
could be wrong.
then-
It's not bad, but with the delay, it sounds kind of tough.
Yeah, it's very weird. One trick you can do though is because that same delay exists before a spell comes out when you cast a spell, and because the game sort of pauses for a split second when you do cast a spell, if you use a spell instead, you can wait for that cut-in, that pause, and then instantly hold the button during that. And so then your character will begin moving the instant the invincibility kicks in. Of course, that costs you a spell. Yeah.
Using that pause is also useful for dodging. Like if something really fast is about to hit you, you can react to it a lot better if you have that pause. You can use that to your advantage.
Indeed.
Can I just chime in and say this round against Shiri has been going on for like 5 minutes or something? This has been going on forever.
Yeah, Chiyuri's timer on the first round against her is 6 minutes approximately.
9.5.
Very-
bonus.
Very high clear bonus. That's one of the
that was
best
an
I've seen.
insane Shiri round.
Yeah, that was a very good
Very
round.
good one. Yeah, that's the kind of round you want.
So you want them to go that long then?
Yes. I mean,
You want
there's
all rounds to be as long as possible.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In theory,
makes
the
sense.
game has unlimited like score potential depending on how long the bosses last against you. So you want them to live longer.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, but the longer they live, the higher the chance of you dying too and just losing.
Yeah, that's
Risk
super
versus
intense.
reward.
So I guess
like
you
that,
can
though.
distribute 2 suicides on Yumemi now.
yeah. So before we mentioned a bit about the extra lives and how you may want to suicide and stuff. Essentially, you want to finish the game with no extra lives left, because essentially a death allows you to fight the opponent again and get another round. On the other
And
hand, you
there's
don't get
no game clear bonus.
you don't get a clear bonus on rounds where you die. So there's a bit of a balancing act, where you would ask yourself, okay, has this round been good enough that I want to accept the clear bonus for it? And if not, you may kill yourself, ideally right before the AI kills itself, so that you can redo that round and hopefully get a much higher clear bonus. So that's essentially how you want to spend your lives like that to get second chances at a good round. Or of course, you might just die accidentally.
That's very hardcore mind games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now this
And the-
fight here against Yumemi, we mentioned before, she does not have a timer. So this could last forever, depending on how well she performs and how well I perform.
Oh, some of them have timeouts.
Yeah. All the earlier stages end at a certain point in time.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
said, Yuri is 6 minutes.
It's more or less like it's not a rigid timer,
Yeah.
because the bosses might accidentally die early because of LOL AI.
Okay.
Or or they might last longer for some reason.
Yeah.
So you'll see Yumemi, she's used up both of her bombs, right? And that's entirely because she just got trapped. She'll never do that. She's not programmed to do it. She just does it in order to prevent herself from being hit. So the AI is very imperfect. So despite the fact she has no timer, she will lose.
She's essentially taken 2 hits already. It's
Yeah.
just-
And there's
she
tricks you can
uses
do.
the bomb right before she gets hit instead.
Yeah. And there's
Okay,
tricks.
so which attack do you want to use the level 1 invulnerability on?
The swerve.
Alright. Yumemi, you'll see, has 5 attacks. Her boss. One, she points a little line at you and spawns crosses directly on your position. so you have to move around to avoid them. Another one, she aims the line at you, but instead of crosses, she just fires a big cone of bullets. Another one, she shoots stars up. She's doing it right now, and then they fall down like that. Just random dodging. A fourth is the infamous Cloud of Death, which is just a often undodgeable spam of bullets all over the screen.
Good job, Zil.
And the fifth is this sort of swirl. I think some people call it the swirl of doom.
Spiral, I guess.
Yeah, Shinki has the same one in Mystic Square.
Yeah, so essentially she makes this big sort of spirally circle of bullets come out of her. It looks impossible. Looks like there's no gaps in it. There actually are. They're just extremely small. But since that attack is essentially just a thin wall of bullets that comes right at you, it's a prime candidate for being bypassed with invincibility frames. So when she does that attack, in general, I will try to use a charge attack right before it hits me and then just pass through it without having to dodge. And that was a very dumb death.
Oh.
One bullet on the screen, and I caught it.
Yeah, sadly, that's just how it is. With a lot of the attacks in the game are, in theory, they're easy because, like that level, her Yumemi is level 2 and level 3. It's just, in theory, you can just say, well, just wait for all the bullets to spawn and then tap left or right, and then you dodge it. But in practice, it doesn't work like that because this game has so many combinations of things happening. So maybe the game will decide to spawn a cross on you while you do that, or maybe it will just shoot a pellet at you when you're in that gap, and then maybe it doesn't work anymore. Just one pellet could be enough, and that's what happens.
Since your mind is preoccupied with so much crap, you can easily just get blindsided by even one little bullet like that. You just don't notice it. You're thinking about something else.
Yeah, that happens a lot more than you might think. Like, it also happens with me a lot. I just get hit and I'm just like, okay, what actually hit me?
Yeah.
Also, these crosses obscure the bullets, so that can be pretty tough too. And you can't shoot through the crosses, so if there's a lot of crosses on the screen.
Oh, geez. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah. Your charge
attack,
does go through the crosses though, the level 1 charge.
Yeah, that's a good thing about charge attacks in general, is they pass through.
That's the swirl, by the way.
Yep. I had to bomb at that time.
I hope we're all synced up correctly there, because that swirl only lasts for a moment.
Yeah, we are good.
God damn.
Spiral also is like, you have to be charging and, release at least a level 1 charge. But with some shots, their charge speed is just too slow and it becomes pretty unreliable to do it, but you kind of have to reliably dodge it.
You have to be very used to the charge speed you're using to reliably go through that swirl.
Yeah, Mima has a slow charge speed. That's one of her weaknesses. So it's a bit harder with her than, say, Chiuri. But you can do it.
It's a bit medium slow, actually, but yeah, it's not that fast.
Yeah. To me, anything slower than Chiuri is like molasses, which is maybe a bias because Chiuri is really fast in all areas. But even Mima's movement speed feels slow to me because there are some things in this game you can't have enough speed. You just can't have enough. And so even being a little slower, you really feel it.
I think Sun did an amazing job with the character balance in this game, though. I mean, all the characters are just so different in so many different areas. It's really fun to just jump from character to character because they're all interesting in their own ways. It's very rare for a game to be like that, I think.
Mm-hmm. So you see there, diagonal movement, really good for dodging those aimed crosses, so the arms won't hit you.
Like pretty much just in 4 directions.
One of the things about those crosses is because of what the cross is, the below the spawning of the cross is more dangerous than above it. So you could also do like a diagonal up or diagonal left, as long as you don't move down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you take collision damage if the boss lands on you, so you have to move out of the way or kill it.
Yeah, that usually happens when the boss leaves the screen, when it like moves down. So you kind of have to predict where it's going and, you know, react accordingly.
Are you intending to win this round, by the way?
I don't remember what my
Because I think
plan was.
Oh, well, you still lost. Because you would get a pretty nice clear bonus on that round that ended.
You just got crucified, son.
And so this being the last round, this can be really tough mentally because you never know what's going to happen. Yumemi is the hardest opponent you can face, and she's hard in a way that's very unfair. She could be really easy sometimes, but usually she will not be very easy at all. And very often she will be so hard that you can only call it unfair, honestly. So that can be really rough because you will often be here on your last life and you're just hoping, praying that she won't be that bullshit Yumemi that she can be sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, when it escalates and you just have to bomb or hyper, it's just like, holy fuck.
Yeah, and sometimes you get these rounds where you have to bomb like several times in just the first minute, or there's just no way because this game really likes throwing those situations at you. You really can't expect to get through it, no matter how good you are.
Well, and you, for instance,
something I can relate on that is that like I try to kind of compete with like the world records in this, mainly the absolute highest score, and I probably had like about 10 runs that were on pace to be the highest score ever. Pretty much all of them died, all of them, just because Yumemi just did something dumb and it just ruined everything.
How frustrating does that get?
You have to really love this game and to put up with all this bullshit.
But hey, there's a good side in it. Like, you are not obliged to finish the game to have a good score.
Yeah,
to some degree, yeah.
But I mean, at the highest level,
I think at this point,
it's very unlikely that you would beat the record without a clear. I mean, and if you did, you would really hate yourself for it. Which would be so much better.
It's always nice to have the clear. It's true.
Yeah, and you will get a lot more points for it. So
second highest.
You just lost the god run basically if you world record without the clear.
Yeah.
Second highest score is actually game over, and it only got 1 million lower than this run, which it was a really ridiculous run because it had by far the best pace ever.
There's still a lot of potential left for this game. We need more players.
All right, about Yumemi, so
players.
what direction do you want to aim her attacks at when she's pointing the line at you?
The crosses or the bullet cone?
Like both, like when you don't even know what's coming.
Well, all right. First of all, you can kind of guess what she's gonna do by how long she sits there after she appears. Her attacks have different speeds. For instance, the Cloud of Death is her fastest attack. She does it near instantly. So if you see her show up and start floating around for a while without doing anything, that means it's going to be the aimed crosses attack, because that's her slowest attack. So she'll just float around and do nothing for a longer time than she would have if she were going to do anything else. And so in that case, you know it's coming. You should try to prepare yourself, move to a place where you want to redirect the crosses. The other one, the cone, she kind of does that too fast. She does that at a point. See that? She was floating around for a while before she did this. But she does that one fast enough that it's at a time where you could not know that was going to be her attack.
Right there, by the way.
Nice attack dodge.
The invincibility frames, yeah.
She did this swirly attack higher and more to the left that time, which gives you more room in the bottom right to dodge it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah, where she is on the screen when she uses it is huge.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the gist of it. You can control the aimed crosses, but the other aimed attack is really too fast to do anything with.
Hey,
That's the run.
wow.
Not a godly final round, but good enough.
Yeah, that's a pretty typical last round. But I mean, you know, the fact that you cleared is all that really matters at that point, because clearing is easier said than done.
Mm-hmm. So, honestly, that run went by much faster than I thought it would. There's still a lot we haven't really said, but anyway, yep.
It's crazy.
Whoever.
Yeah, well done, well done. Okay, let's set up for the next run, I suppose. You can feel free to preface it if you'd like.
Okay, what's the difference between characters? Like, there are like 3 stats that you see on the selection. All the damage of the basic shots is all the same, even though they make it look different.
The basic shot, it does the same amount of damage for every character. Yeah, I think the power stat is not entirely correct.
Yeah, I've never been sure what power is supposed to mean. I think
that for level 1 charge attack, likely.
You'd think, but then there's some characters it doesn't make sense for. Like Ellen, for instance.
I think Ellen's is 3 out of 5 stars, but you'll soon realize that she has probably the worst charge attack of them all, by far.
Yeah, by far. It's terrible. So, I mean, the speed is accurate on there, charge speed is accurate, but the power, really you just have to know what the charge attack does. So, and this is Kirby's run, right? So, I'll let him introduce.
Are you playing it already?
Not yet.
No.
I'm setting it up.
Is
Yeah,
there
we
anything you
have
want to...
all the best players in the game right here.
Sick. How come there aren't, like, what about the Japanese players? Like, where are they?
That's because it's PC98 and they hate emulators and piracy in general.
How come you guys don't have PC98s?
Because the game copy is very costly.
I think we do know about some Japanese players who we think played on a real PC98, but those scores are all really old and not as good as Zil and KirbyComment are.
Do you have any interest in, like, getting the hardware eventually and doing, like, actual hardware runs?
It's impossible. I mean, there's very few copies of these games.
What about,
Yeah.
I mean...
Also, the game slows down on the, like, lots of bullets, I think. On hardware.
But can't you just copy that floppy? I mean...
I think there's also like a few hundred copies in existence, like for most of those the PC98 Touhou games.
God.
I think most of us also prefer it without slowdown, because it's much more intense without the slowdown.
Oh, there's slowdown on hardware.
Yeah,
it's
this
theorized that there is, yeah.
Yeah,
like how much?
This game with slowdown is just doesn't have the same appeal. It's easier, not as intense.
Really? Okay. So you'd prefer it without.
This is the game I fell in love with. The game that doesn't slow down.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see how much it slows down on Lunatic.
A lot, probably. If you play on a really bad computer, you'll see how the game slows down on emulator, and it's probably.
It feels like Zun made the last bosses very hard because like he would have planned the game with slowdown in mind, like Cave does.
Probably, yeah. Especially with Twinkle Star Sprites being the main inspiration.
Yeah, and that game has a lot of slowdown.
Yeah. So he probably designed this monstrosity with the idea that it would slow down.
Yeah, but little did he know that we prefer it without the slowdown.
Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, that's. Thanks for answering those questions, though. Okay, I'm ready to get started for Kirby's run here.
Okay.
You all are, and then I'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. It'll be the countdown, and we'll get this going. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
This run was done on June of last year, and this is the highest scoring Ellen run on Lunatic with 122 million. So I guess
Epic.
while this run is going on, I'll talk a bit about the shot itself, because we didn't really go that deep into it, I guess.
Yeah, please.
Ellen's charge and movement speed are the slowest in the game, and that's overall pretty bad because slow movement like that doesn't really fit with this difficulty, because there's a lot of fast bullets, fast fireballs, fast everything. So it becomes harder to, react to things and dodge things in general.
Yeah, she's like a joke character for survival.
Yeah, this character is just bad for all of the wrong reasons, pretty much. Pretty hard too, but I think she's, a bit more fun to play. But yeah,
what?
Something.
So you
Well, we have Ramos, the round 1 boss.
Yeah, Reimu last time was the stage 7, because I was Mima and Reimu will
Yeah,
always
so
be stage.
you can see the difference like between how aggressive she is and like how long the fight lasts, of course.
Yeah, so she's already on her last hit. There she goes. Yeah.
Like her slow charge, that also creates, a bit of different situations. So you'll probably see here and there, I will try to charge up for a level 2. So that means, 2 of those sections of the gauge. But then I will release the charge prematurely before it reaches that amount, just so that I can use it for self-defense. Because her charge is so slow that you're kind of a sitting duck for a lot of the time.
Oh, she charges slower.
Kind of. Yes, she has the slowest charge speed in the game.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that was a thing between the characters.
Yeah. And so you're pretty defenseless when you're charging. Of that, her charge attack, like her stronger shot type, I guess, or these I don't know, these kind of arrowhead head bullet thingies that home in on whatever it's closest to, I guess.
At least you can use the bomb during your charge attack compared to Marissa and Chiri.
You can. Yeah, so those arrowhead bullets, they do not pierce through anything. So anything it hits, it will just make them disappear. At the time, when you're trying to do damage to a boss or something, usually the shot will just not hit the boss and hit something else or get blocked by the EX attacks.
Yeah,
Rikako's gears here.
She pretty much is unique in that her charge attack is the only one that... I mean, most characters in the game, you can use your charge attack in general for similar things, like self-defense, hitting a distant target, etc. Ellen's just does not work the same way. It just cannot do what basically any other character's charge attack can do.
Yeah, I mean, the only really good thing, I guess, about her movement is that you can do, precise dodging is a little bit easier, but, I mean, generally you just want to be able to move fast. And personally, I think Mima's kind of medium movement speed is pretty ideal because her speed is not too slow and not too fast. I like that. I think Chiri's a bit too fast for her own good sometimes.
That's true. Better
For
in
me,
theory, but harder to master.
Yeah, I'm not really that good with Chiri, and well, I haven't played her that much either. I actually think that the fact that you can't shoot or bomb or anything during her charge attack is sometimes a little aggravating.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
as
don't
for
really
Ellen,
have that, Marissa.
Ellen is really bad. Like pretty much everything about Ellen is really bad, as we've mentioned. But despite all that, she's still a really good character for score.
Level 2 is really, really good. Like, I know it like creates all these bullets from the top of the screen, and then also like from the side. Like there's a lot of bullets, and her boss attack, she has one pattern where she like shoots a bunch of pellet bullets that are relatively easy to reflect.
Yeah, her level 2 is pretty much guaranteed to get reflected by the opponent at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those level 2s that does tend to get reflected.
Has a lot of potential, but unfortunately, it's just, you know, how are you going to get it out of her because she's so bad?
Exactly.
Zil's score with Ellen, I think, is like almost 10 million lower than what this run gets, which, you know, should just kind of show that, you know, probably most people hate this shot type and just also can't really play it well.
Yeah,
we have
she's...
double sheer reaction, double Ellen action.
We do have it.
Yeah, like
I guess
the year is 20XX and everybody plays Ellen.
Fuck.
The game actually has to fight herself at some point. And when you play as Chiri or Yumemi.
Yeah, and even
funny
you get
cutscenes.
the quote. The winning quote after you win.
Winning quotes are also pretty funny. And you're also playing on English patch right now. And so this is probably a better time to kind of explain the clear bonus, because now you can actually kind of read it. You know, it's not Japanese. The first bonus is max combo. Play determines whatever is your highest singular chain reaction of like bullets and fireballs that, you know, get hit from the enemy explosions. And so you get 10,000 points, or whatever the highest combo is. This gauge attack, as it's displayed on screen, that basically means how many level 2s or level 3 spells you have used in that match.
And since they are the same, like you want to use level 2s more.
These, I guess, we didn't really mention, those basically create the same patterns, the bullet patterns, except they're not pellet bullets, so they cannot be reversed. So for scoring, they're basically useless.
Yeah, another really nice thing about Ellen is, for score, is that her boss summon has one attack that is one of the most lucrative to reflect. I'd say, I guess it's like second most lucrative after Rikako's pellet attack.
Mention her attack, but yeah, it's at least very good for reflecting bullets.
And what really stands out about her boss is how quickly it attacks. There's very little, I guess you could say, cooldown.
Yeah, there's like no downtime.
Yeah, one attack over and over again. Her boss is really crazy because of that. And so it's very likely she's going to do that attack a lot just because of how rapidly she keeps attacking.
Ellen would probably be pretty good in PvP with all her strength.
Oh yeah. I mean,
she's actually pretty hard to play against, yeah. Like, even though she dies pretty quickly, like, just when you know, play against her as a CPU, she's actually pretty difficult to deal with. Like, her EX attacks are pretty annoying, and, like, they just block shots a lot, and, you know, her attacks in general are pretty annoying.
Yeah, whenever there's a spell attack, the time freezes like for a fraction of a second, and there's warning on screen. During that time, you can buffer some inputs.
Any inputs you do, then they just don't happen at all.
Oh, okay. But yeah, sometimes it helps dodge in some more complicated stuff.
Yeah. Just to go back on the clear bonus, the third bonus is called boss attack, which basically means that's the number of standard boss attacks you summon. Called boss flip, which is basically every boss reversal and then there's boss flip, which actually I don't think was mentioned before.
Boss panic, you mean?
Is it something else? Well, I meant boss panic.
Yeah, panic.
Okay, that's my bad. But yeah, boss flips, or I did it again. Boss panics, you trigger those by getting 300,000 spell points, and they are accompanied by a level 3 spell. Yeah, that's basically all the bonuses. And I guess one other thing is that when you lose a round, all of those values reset, except for the max combo. For some reason, that does not reset.
I didn't even know that.
I'm quite positive that's actually the case.
You just barely won this round because you got the hyper right as you were gonna die.
It's gonna happen a lot.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna use hypers just to survive.
Stage 6 Kotohime. Probably not an ideal stage 6 opponent.
No, probably the worst one you could want.
Yeah, now this is the real bullet hell.
Alright, it could be. I don't know this run intimately enough. It all depends on luck, remember?
I know what happens here, but I'm not gonna spoil it yet.
Okay.
We're just gonna see what happens. I mean, Kotohime is definitely, in my opinion, the hardest to phase in, a later stage, and especially stage 7.
Yes, Chiuri gets Kotohime as her stage 7 opponent, which is another reason Chiuri is an extremely difficult character to play.
And to make matters worse, Chiuri is super fast, and being super fast is actually not that nice against Kotohime because there's a lot of micro dodging you have to do in this fight.
Yeah, one of the few cases in the game where you actually do kind of want to be slow.
Yeah.
I guess something just to go back on the spell point requirements. There's actually this advanced technique, which situational. We call it boss canceling. Essentially, what it means is that when you trigger a boss attack or boss reversal, the game has to take a second to actually activate it. If you summon a level 2 before this 1 second elapses, that boss attack will fail to appear. It may sound like that is bad, it can actually be good. The thing basically is, if you trigger this boss attack or reversal, no matter whether it gets cancelled or not, it will be counted in the clear bonus. So if you do this, and then you quickly get enough spell points to trigger another boss attack or reversal, you will essentially get 2 boss attacks or reversals right in a row.
It's clever.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And
so this is...
Oh, go on.
Right. And this is mostly useful when you're already having a lot of spell points and you're, keeping the chain without resetting your spell points. Otherwise, it's not really useful, and it can actually backfire in that if you trigger a second boss attack, it will be a lot harder to get enough spell points again to trigger another boss attack.
Because the requirement is increased, even though the boss didn't appear. Yeah.
So basically by summoning 2 bosses in a row like that, the spell point requirement basically goes up by, 51,200 times 2, or just 100,000, I guess.
Marisa is like one of the easier opponents to have for your decisive match.
Which is definitely a breather, kind of, when you're playing Ellen. None of her patterns are that dangerous, but I mean, it can still be dangerous, but it's not.
She limits your ability to move horizontally, but when you're Ellen, you're kind of limited already by her slow movement, so it doesn't hurt as bad.
Yeah, Marisa is not nearly as strong as she is in POFV.
No.
Oh yeah, not even close. Marisa is one of the weak ones in this game. And she's arguably the best in POV. Maybe second best.
Yeah, but in single player, it's still fun to play as her.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone is fun.
Everyone is
else.
here.
Marisa is a good beginner character in this game because she has good survival, easy, simple to play, and doesn't get too much reflections back. And
This is actually the first character I ever scored. So, and
it's a good-
casually, I really liked her as well, like just to play.
I mean, she might just be the easiest character to pick up and score with, maybe. Not necessarily the one you can get the highest score with, though.
Also for
Like,
your
if you wanna
survival
get-
clear.
If you just want to get like high scores but still like be able to clear, probably Mima is the best choice. Although
Mima is pretty hard.
You can hold back.
it's debatable.
Like,
Yeah,
I
you can
feel
always-
like Mima has more technique to it.
Well, anyway, back to the run.
Boom.
Yes, so I died there pretty much at the end there, but that's actually okay. Like, basically, if you die like in relatively late game, it doesn't matter as much because the rounds take longer anyway. So you don't really lose much of anything if you die once on like stage 7 or 6.
Yeah,
It's much worse in this game when you get bad rounds rather than a good round where you die at the end is much better than a bad run that you win.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah,
one
so
really,
generally,
one really useful thing about when you die is you can start the next round with your gauge already filled, so you don't have to waste a chunk of the match building up, and the spell level doesn't reset, so your spell has a lot of bullets in it still. And furthermore, I mentioned there's this this pattern where the fireballs will sometimes scatter around, sometimes aim right at you. As it happens, 5 seconds after the start of a match, you always get fireballs that are aiming towards you, assuming there's any fireballs at all. And that syncs up really well with instantly using a level 2 at the beginning of the match to get a bunch of fireballs aimed straight at you. You reflect them, and then the match is essentially in full swing 5 seconds in.
that pretty much always happens if you use a level 2 at the beginning of a round, basically.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, so that really makes up for the fact that the match might be slightly shorter because the AS timer got reduced. You just start instantly. You're right into it. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, so like every 5 seconds or so, that the fireballs are either completely aimed at you, like wherever you are, completely random.
Mm-hmm.
And well, it just so happens that when you use the level 2 at the beginning of, or just around, fireballs will all be aimed directly at you. And so if you stay directly below the enemies, caught in the explosion of all those fireballs, and like generally for scoring, you generally want to stay below the enemies, just in case fireballs hit those explosions.
Explosions.
You can't really keep track of it the whole time because there's just so much going on.
So
Yeah, something I forgot to mention about spell points, which I don't think was mentioned, but the spell points does have a cap of 655,000. So when that happens, the spell points has to reset. So you can basically no longer spell points. And so if you summon a lot of bosses and the spell point requirement goes up a lot to the point that it actually reaches the maximum, it will actually wrap back around to 0. It was actually thought that if it could actually get above the supposed spell point cap, which would mean the boss attack would be impossible to reverse, but it turns out it wraps back around to 0, so it actually becomes a lot easier to reverse.
Just very funny.
Yeah, like it wraps back around to 0, and the spell point requirement it's 10,250 if I'm not mistaken. So pretty much anything will reverse it at that point. Lunatic.
You keeping up with all these Aquas?
Trying, yeah.
This game is pretty tough to understand.
It's nuts. I'll have to rewatch. it.
I played this game a ton, and I'm not even aware of like half of.
Yeah, honestly.
And this was only Zun's like 3rd game. He's not aware of what monstrosity he created.
This is probably the most complex Touhou game, honestly.
Yeah,
I agree.
Definitely.
For a PC98 game, generally the mechanics are pretty simple, but somehow this game is the exact opposite.
It's insane.
Chaotic as well.
That's why we love it, though.
I feel like a lot of it will click too if you've actually played it.
Like the thing about this game is the magic of this game is that there's like this perfect balance between just good, intuitive, intense gameplay and like all the underlying little subtleties that are just waiting for you to figure them out. It's the perfect balance. You can just pick up this game and just be like, well, I'm just gonna use level 2 over and over and over. Reflect, and you can. That's what I did, and I got a score of 110 million, 10 or 11. Just by
11?
just by doing very intuitive. Like I used the level 2s, I look for where to reflect stuff, and that's it.
Yeah, it's good enough.
I don't even know half of these things they're talking about, honestly.
It's high level shit.
Yeah, it's like you play this for thousands of hours, you start figuring all this crazy shit out.
It's cool that it's all there, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what sets them apart from me.
What's it? What's it like? Like, how was? I don't know if maybe we should say this for later, but how was the journey to getting to this level? Like, in terms of, I mean, like figuring out all the subtleties eventually, and I don't know. Just kind of springboarding that out there.
4 years ago, I think, and like I didn't really know anything. Like, probably like when I started playing, I just kind of assumed that the bosses just kind of got summoned at random.
Yeah, like way back, essentially, in like 2012, 2011, I think, when I started playing this, it was essentially just unknown territory. Nobody knew anything about how this game worked. It's not well documented at all. And so a lot of the early years when I was playing this was just figuring out how the game worked.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun, really.
It's a good thing you figured so much out, because that's what got me to start playing it as well. Yeah. Watching your runs inspired me to start playing this game.
I tried to spread the cult to get people to play it.
Yeah, sadly the cult is also kind of small, but
first one to really kind of push this game. Also,
the few people that are really into this game are really into this game.
Yes.
people who play this for score, but not really that much. But you know, and you know, you can also like I started playing on just normal mode because I mean back then I wasn't really good at Touhou in general because I've only been playing Shmup for like a year. So I just started playing normal and just gradually, you know, just kind of move my way up. So I guess. You know, I just went to hard mode.
The game trained you through the years, huh?
In general, I'm not particularly good at shmups in general, I guess, but you know, even now, like, you know, you're seeing the results here that after 3 years of playing.
Yeah, it's one of the few Touhou games that has a Western world record, so to speak.
This game is, I think, I don't know. It does put emphasis on, you know, dodging skill, but also a lot about like just knowledge, just knowing how the game works. So like,
yeah, that seems like that's fun to discover as time goes on.
Yeah, let's talk a bit about survival. How do you read Chiyore's attacks? Like in what order?
Well, there's so many different variables. You should generally you should be ready to be tapping in a certain direction and have as much space in that direction to tap as possible, and then you just look out for that. And at the same time, you look for all the scoring opportunities.
That's a good summary. Yeah, it's like a.
Yuri, it's a bit hard to predict what she does because I'm pretty sure all of her attacks kind of come out at the same speed.
There's this one she's using now with the pellets, right? Well, if she's also using a level 3 at the same time, then you can't just move left and right, left and right, left and right. Then you have to move right, and be in those little gaps each time. And that can be very hard, but that's just what you have to do if you're not gonna bomb.
Yeah, and this attack where
but if she's not doing anything
rings,
else, if she doesn't do anything else at the same time, then you can just go left, right, left, right, left, right, and you memorize it.
she does where she spawns a bunch of rings and like slower pellet bullets alongside it. Those are...
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Those don't really have a trick to them, you just have to dodge, but I mean, I guess the best thing you can really do is just hope that there's like enemies that you can hide behind so that you mainly have to worry about the rings.
Yeah, you have to use the enemies as a shield as much as possible. And as a score.
Like that's this game also, like when like there's these shit storms of bullets coming your way, you generally want to hide behind the enemies, but I mean, the enemies also have to be large enough for that to happen, because the small enemies only create small explosions, and those aren't really that useful.
And about the shitstorms, as we like to call them, it's a shame we're not showing a Kotohime run, because she's the one who really gets the shitstorms because of her level 2 reflection.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Basically,
shitstorms, impossible bullet cloud that you just have to macro around. You can't go through it.
Yeah, KirbyComment has a VR Kotohime run on his channel. Take a look.
Oh,
yeah,
damn.
Go check it out if you're wondering what I'm talking about here, because it's one of the funniest things you can. Literal bullets.
Shitstorms actually get caused because the enemy explosions happen within the bullet source of the level 2, because they all appear in one spot. And that's something that can also happen with Mima's level 2, which also makes her very good for scoring, because her appears in one spot on the screen.
Oh, there's something very simple. I finally have some. There's something very simple we haven't mentioned yet. How the health depletes. That's actually a really big deal at the start of rounds. You could choose to not use bombs and take a hit instead, because you know you're gonna take a certain amount of damage, because you can take more damage the longer time goes on without you having taken any hits. So he's so far he's only taken one heart of damage. Yeah, maybe you guys actually know the timers, because I don't know that by heart.
You will always like get depleted to the last half a heart before you die.
Yeah, so like if you take a lethal hit, I guess, so like a hit that would kill you, it will always bring you to a half heart, assuming you didn't have a half heart before. So you will always have one extra hit, so to speak. And
yeah, that's why. Come on.
Beginning of the match, I only took one heart of damage, and it was because I took a hit very early on. And so early on in the match, I don't really worry about bombing, because if I get hit, it usually will do, little damage, so I can actually take an extra hit.
Yeah, because if you take 1 heart of damage, then you have 4 hearts left. Most you can take is 3 hearts of damage, so then you will have 1 heart left, so then you will always have 3 hits left. If you have 4 hearts, you will always have 3 hits left.
What determines the amount of damage you take when you get hit?
The time that has been spent since you last took a hit. The longer the time, the more damage you will take next time.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why
really...
if you get a hit earlier in the round is better.
Oh.
Yeah, and if a certain amount of time has passed and you know you're gonna get hit, then you should bomb. But if it's very early, then you can skip bombing, because you will only take...
That's funky.
Yeah, you gotta have a little inner timer in your head.
That's like another thing, another little subtle thing that I'm sure you get used to as time goes on playing.
Yep.
So let's talk about Yumemi death conditions, like on round 1.
On round 1, she does not have a timer, and we're actually getting into a strategy here that's mainly used on easy and normal mode. I'll just take the time to explain it now, because I know it just takes a little while. When Yumemi takes 2 hits, she will no longer be charging her gauge anymore. She will strictly use them for defensive hypers. And so, taking this in mind, the fact that the first round of Yumemi has no timer, you can basically use this to your advantage in scoring. So when she takes 2 hits and her gauge is not full, you just play passively. You do absolutely nothing. You just don't shoot, you don't do anything. And so basically what that does, it basically create, there's just no bullets on screen on Yumemi's side. And that allows her to safely charge up her gauge again. And so when her gauge is back full again, you start shooting again, because you know she has a hyper. So if she's about to get hit, you will be certain that she will use the hyper to avoid death.
It's essentially you're milking the round by
so you can see right here now.
No.
And she's on her last hit, and her gauge is not full yet. It's actually a very small chance she can still die, and it's really, really dumb. If 2 enemies approach her from the side, she can't react to it properly, and she will die. It's very unfortunate and has happened many times. But this is basically a strategy that you would use mainly on easy and normal mode to get huge clear bonuses. Not really possible on higher difficulties, because on the higher difficulties you need to survive for a longer period of time to make it worth it, basically. On Lunatic, everything is already harder to begin with, so it would just be ridiculous.
It's perfectly... I would say you should do it when you have the opportunity. It's just harder to keep it going, because she can still kill you at any time.
I mean, it's I just stall her anyway, because if you can't do it, you still get score, and there's no
there's no downside
to it. That she could possibly die, but the chance of that happening is quite small. If she has a full gauge, you will be certain that she can't die from it. Yeah, since the first round is now, done, that strategy no longer works. To give you an idea of how high the clear bonuses can get on the lower difficulties, they can range from well within the 10 million mark. For difficulties, I think the highest clear bonus ever is 19.2 million.
Jesus.
From Zil. And I think my highest...
Is that on Oh, go on.
I thought your mic cut off there. But yeah, I think that was on your Mima easy run. of like 54 million, and
Oh,
like,
right, that one.
it could go higher. Is the thing. Like it could pretty much be playing forever, and like on the easier difficulties, you can generally survive more easily. But even then, you should not actually underestimate Umami, because some of her patterns are still really dense, even on easy. Like the bullet density is pretty much the same regardless of difficulty, so
The cloud
your
of death
rank-
is still a cloud of death. No matter what difficulty you're on. Pretty much.
so like if your boss rank is 16, it will be as dense as it would be here.
I mean, honestly, it can be harder.
It's slow.
Because the bullets are slower and there's no space between them.
But one thing, I guess one thing about that, because the bullets are slower, there's higher chances that you'll actually hit the bullet cap, and bullets will just fail to spawn, which is probably most common on easy. Actually have rounds take that long. Take as well. Just it kind of depends on the character as well.
Oh, what?
It's kind of unfortunate.
I didn't see what hit you there.
It's like a pellet slipped in, slept.
Yeah.
That sort of thing happens all the time, to be honest. Like a lot of the time that I die, I don't even know what's hit me.
Am I the only one who
Sometimes
thinks?
it's
it's
just-
flashing, and one of the flash is white and the pellet is white. So then you're like, invisible pellet hit me.
His boss appears, actually. She also makes this white flash like before she fully spawns in, and that also pretty much makes the bullets impossible to see. Oh, also you just saw right there that I was prematurely charging my gauge while Umami was charging her gauge as well. And so the only reason I did that because her charge attack is just that slow. So I basically charged up a level 4 to reverse her boss attack immediately.
I think that was the first level 4 of today, by the way.
I think it was.
Yeah, probably the only one.
Oh wow.
Really
And-
just
and
a
just
safe
to-
thing.
Just so everyone who's watching understands, the level 4 is to get rid of the boss and make a boss on the opponent's screen instead. It's survival essentially. Because this is the
That's
last
it.
round, and yeah, I don't think he wants to fuck this run up.
You need to fill your gauge entirely and charge it all the way to its max to trigger a boss attack, which is like the more straightforward way to summon bosses, but generally in scoring you only summon boss attacks through spell points.
Well, for
To
survival, you
summon-
might consider just using the hyper when you have that much.
Yeah, but if
do
you
that.
have bombs, you can't do the hyper, and so if you have bombs, it's better to use 3 level 2s than 1 level 4 for score. But it's just that doing 3 level 2s there would reduce his chance of clearing.
Yeah, so if I don't have bombs, using a level 4 is basically suicide.
Yeah, you would never do that with no bombs.
Umemi actually took 3 hits in a row there, which is really lucky, but also not at the same time, because you want the round to last as long as possible.
He
But
could have
it
scored
did,
higher.
Okay, and the run that.
yeah,
run
but it
ends
did
here.
guarantee the clear.
Yeah, it's a blessing in a sense.
Except
If
for
a
when it's
round,
not.
if a round is going to end like faster, like earlier, then I would rather have that happen the last round.
GG, yeah, awesome run.
So
Yeah, good job to both of you.
honestly, there's still a shitload that we didn't even get into, but
I believe it.
yeah, this game is honestly extremely hard to
Yeah,
explain.
There's a Discord server in the game.
Well, that'll help.
Yeah. And we also
Yeah, we can
have,
link
like,
that on the description for you guys if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
for anyone who wants to get into this game and has questions and whatnot.
Okay, what would you
Wiki page.
recommend for someone to like when he's going for his first Lunatic clear? Just what to consider? Like how much scoring you need to learn?
If you're just looking to clear, then you should do no scoring whatsoever, because all scoring will do is make the game harder. All scoring.
Yeah, but you have to get bare minimum for the second extent.
You'll get that automatically, I think.
It's just 20 million. So, I mean, it's possible to clear the game with less than 20 million.
Yeah, you can do the pacifist.
Yeah,
That's the easiest way to clear with Shuri is the pacifist, I think.
Yeah.
But who wants to do? No one wants to do this. Like, it's not fun. Don't do it.
I think actually someone did it before.
Yeah, Flan Pop.
B.
I think Sherpy cleared this game with 0 points on easy mode.
0 points. Godlike.
Anyway,
How?
go back to the question. If you want to clear the game, no need to do scoring, and the best characters to use are Reimu and Yumemi. Which one you want to pick is preference. Both of them are the top tier survival characters for different reasons. Reimu has a much.
Those two.
Huh?
Those two characters basically are kind of the broken shots of the game. Also Rikako, and like their EX attacks, they are very good against the computers. Like they can't really predict them very well and get trapped.
Yeah, the opponents will die early to Reimu and Yumemi specifically. That's why you pick them, because they break the AI. Other than that, they are also really good at scoring, except the fact that they kill the AI early. That's their downfall for scoring. So that makes them good for survival.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually also have this Wikipedia page with like all the like subtle information about this game that, as far as I know, is nowhere else.
Oh,
really.
great! Awesome. That's awesome. You've done
Maybe linked as well.
you've done the game some justice there for sure.
I mean, most of the discoveries are thanks to Zil, who really, kind of started making this game, a bit more popular to score, and he figured out most of the things. After 2 years of him playing, I, came along and also helped a little bit here and there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are you guys still chasing records or PBs for this game right now, or?
Chasing new score players.
I can't really play the game anymore because my computer has become too shitty. So
That's
it will
a shame.
overheat and the game will slow down and it's a disaster. So I'd like to keep going for a higher score, but I can't at the moment. Kirby, on the other hand, I think he's taking a break now, but in general, he's after my head.
Oh,
He's after
sweet.
my throne.
And KirbyComment
Your
actually has
difficulties.
most of the records for the game. It's just that
The highest score.
easy, normal, and hard aren't as competitive as Lunatic. So Kirby is mostly competing with himself on easy, normal, and hard. And so he has every record with every character on those difficulties.
And I have 3 out of 9 records with on Lunatic, but the highest score on Lunatic period is definitely by far the hardest to beat.
You want to beat all of them, though, right?
At least intend to beat the 132 one day. If the record ever gets raised, I mean, I don't know if I will beat it, but I still intend to keep playing.
It's a good attitude.
I was never quite sure how like overall records stood in for Touhou games, like because the characters seem to be always separated. But do you consider an overall record for the game?
Certainly, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense too, but
in the vast majority of, I'd say every Touhou game the most desirable score to beat is the overall highest score.
I see.
In most of them. I mean, I think there are
Yeah.
some where that's not necessarily considered the case, or at least the more widely played shot type might not be the overall higher scoring one. Like, for example, in Mountain of Faith, Lunatic, Reimu B is by far the most popular. And so I would assume that the players consider it more desirable to get the record with her than with Marissa C.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And there are cases like this, but it's, for the most part, overall is the most desirable.
Yeah, of
And
course.
in this game, Phantasmagoria of Dimensional Dream, like, there's not just like one shot that's really the absolute best practically. Like, Thierry and Mima are pretty close, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they can compete with each other. It's not like you're playing a different game when you play a different shot type. And so, I mean, like I said earlier, Mima is probably the most popular pick. And that's, people are choosing her because they feel they will do best with her, not just because they want to play a different thing from Chiori.
No, although the beginning score players generally play Reimu.
Oh, well, yeah.
Really?
Probably mostly just to clear.
Like who?
Nick does this. I think Prini as well, and I think someone else. I don't quite remember.
Huh. It's a weird choice, Reimu. I mean,
Like, if you feel you can't 1cc with anyone else, then yeah, play Reimu.
Reimu and Yumemi are pretty legit.
But
And
if
good
you
at this
can-
game, you really just have to play, a good bit before you really understand the game. Only then do you really start to consistently 1cc, or at least more consistently. I mean, honestly, 1ccing is never really a consistent thing on Lunatic.
Yeah, what's your guys' like advice for new players coming in?
You can go first.
As a beginner, definitely understand that casting spells does nothing to the AI. Using a level 2 should only be done for scoring. It's only going to make the game harder. So, as a beginner, for survival's sake, generally you should save your energy for using level 4s to get rid of the enemy's bosses.
Just
And
feel,
once you're
feel out the game survival wise. Okay.
Yeah, once you're comfortable getting through the game, then you can start, throwing in some level 2 spells in the early stages, making it harder intentionally for the sake of scoring, and maybe playing some of the more scoring oriented characters. That's the
That sounds good.
basic idea, I guess. And I mean,
Yeah, I
and
think
you can
that's very reasonable. The real appeal of this game, I think the real appeal of this game is scoring, but you do get the experience of the high speed, high random bullet hell just from playing for a 1cc as well. So you really do get a good feel of like how fun is this game, even if you play for survival. Like,
Yeah.
just when you're scoring, just assume that it's similar gameplay, but just more stuff to think about and to dodge.
Gotcha.
and if you want to have like just to mess around, just go crazy. Just constantly cast level 2 spells.
Yeah, cast as many level 2s as you can.
And see how long you can last. Yeah, because the
I like
game will
that
go
idea,
insane. It will
And
go
do
insane.
it with Shuri. That's the best way to experience this game. So, sadly, we didn't show
Actually-
Shuri today, but she's the best. Like, she's the best to play this game because you get the hardest and most fun game.
Yeah, and
Pretty
giant
decent scores from like just spamming level 2s, because actually the most of the overall highest personal bests from the score players here actually do not 1cc.
Oh yeah, my best run didn't 1cc. I died on the my last life.
Yeah, I think
100 plus million. So, and we also have
same
Sakurai.
Yeah,
Did he suffer the same fate? Game over?
he did. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
He had
The
very
fate
similar
of game
score to
over.
yours.
Yeah, I actually do clear a lot, but I just happen to game over.
It's okay.
Yep. It's sad.
And my personal best has been a game over in the past as well for a long time. It just
It's just
you
one
know,
of those games. Because you can't count on the last run being the last round being a clear.
mhm.
Yeah.
You just can't. It doesn't matter how good you are. You can't 100% guarantee a clear there.
Always find a new way to screw you over, pretty much. Like it
So,
just
yeah.
does. Like it does it all the time. It never stops.
Pick a character you're comfortable with. Try out Reimu and Yumemi first, since they're the easiest. And don't use level 2s unless you want to score, which go ahead if you want to. But if you want to just clear, don't use any level 2s. Save your charge for level 4s to get rid of bosses on your screen. And learn how to use your character as well for survival as possible. For example, if you're playing Yumemi, you want to plant a level 1 anytime a boss spawns on your screen. You can get rid of those bosses immediately. You don't have to dodge anything. And I believe Reimu is not quite as good at getting rid of the bosses, but still not too bad if you use her correctly. So yeah, learn how to play your character, and you will find that clearing is not as hard as you might think.
Mhm.
And as soon as, if your bombs are out, then yeah, don't use any spells at all anymore. Just save up for hyper.
Yeah, I've
that's-
seen people.
yeah.
I've seen people use level 4s when they're out of bombs. It's like,
Yeah, that's
Don't do that.
There's no reason to do that.
Surprise me if people don't even know that hypers exist. And I mean, it's understandable because you just see those two B's on the screen. You expect that that's it.
Yeah, if you don't know that much, then you might not realize that the hypers even exist. That's true.
There's no indication otherwise, like in the
Nope.
game, that you can do that.
Maybe in a manual.
Ah, yes.
the untranslated manual. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
travesty.
Also,
What is the
at
Touhou
Touhou wiki
community
page.
doing?
Touhou Wiki is defending. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into. Touhou Wiki is not the best place.
Well, it has just the basic mechanics. Yeah, don't look any further than that.
It doesn't cover a lot of things actually, so that's also why this subtle detail page was created. It first actually existed on Pastebin, but I decided it should just go on a wiki page because it's easier to organize things.
Oh yeah. To clarify, this is not the. All the games have like an official page on the wiki. That's not the one you should read. KirbyComment has his own page of a bunch of pod info, and that's the one you should look at.
Okay,
The official pages aren't very good.
Yeah, especially not for this game. It's got some bad info on there.
So you essentially just
Chip.
can make your own article, and it's like unofficial on the site. Is that how that works?
Well, it's like every user has like a user page, and you can put things on it.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's simple enough.
Yeah.
It is a bit incomplete because there's a lot of things that we still have to figure out, or it's just things that we're not really thinking about that should be on there. So
Mhm.
Gotcha.
it's definitely the most complete database there is. I know.
Good stuff. Well, this has been fun. Glad you
Hopefully
guys
not
could come
too-
on and talk about it. Showing us your awesome runs. They were both very excellent. So yeah, GG again.
Watch the Kotohime run too.
Pardon?
Watch the Kotohime run too. It's another character.
Well, where?
Yeah. On KirbyComment's
Oh.
YouTube.
Okay. Yeah.
You could watch Sills too, but if you want to see the higher scores, I guess you can go there.
What about the higher quality video?
My videos are not high quality.
These are like the best.
Yeah, that sucks. You can't play
VOD
man.
recordings.
We need to get you a new computer.
Someday.
Pro donation incentive
A
there.
PC 98. That's all you get to use.
Yeah, we gotta make sure you get 140 mil and Mr. Bomb Gunber 2 one of these days.
Oh my god. No Mr. Bomb with Fury. With 149.
That sounds like the most impossible thing ever.
It is.
Yeah.
Where we get out of
Harder
here?
than Vitari Ultra with normal palm.
Yeah, well, what other shmups are you into, Kirby? Since I don't know you very well.
Actually, I'm pretty much solely a Touhou player, but I have played Twinkle Star Sprites as well
Okay.
because it's so similar to this game. And you know, it was pretty fun, and I couldn't really 1cc the default difficulty, even though I'm like, you know, relatively good at this game. So you know, even though I'm pretty skillful in this game, it doesn't really. Twinkle Star Sprites, it's a very different game, and it also feels very different.
Yeah, of course. Okay, fair enough.
A lot of Touhou players don't play any other shmups, but they're still really good at Touhou.
Yeah, I know that's kind of a thing.
Yep.
Specialize in the.
Well, there's also
BC98
lots of
era
Touhou
games.
players that branch out too, so that's also a cool thing. In any case, yeah, I think that's gonna do it for the episode. Hope people enjoyed it. We'll have it on YouTube a little bit later on and whatnot. For Touhou 3 Phantasmagoria of Dimensional Dream. Once again, thanks again for coming on, guys. It was a pleasure having you and hearing about the game.
Yeah, there are more Touhou games to cover, like Lotus Land Story, Mystic Square.
I still got plenty of Touhous, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Touhous.
Still haven't been a photo game. Hint, hint.
Oh, that is
Well,
true.
The
Well, that
photo
would be a
games
good
would
idea.
Pretty tough.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, it would be tough to figure out the layout of an episode, but
Honestly, I think they're not that hard to explain, really. Once you get the gist of it, certainly be easier than this. So
it depends
I
on
think
how you
I'll-
look at it, because the individual levels have much more stuff to explain per time spent.
Yeah.
Like
No,
individual scenes.
I think you can see, you can look at the game and see what the player, like the basic idea of it. Like Pod, you can
Yeah,
easily look at this game and just have no idea what's going on.
That's
Like,
true.
The screen could just be chaos to you. If
It
you
is
don't
true.
Well,
Yeah,
really look
you have to know where
there's
to
a big
look.
difference. There's a big difference between shoot the bullet and double spoiler as well. Shoot the bullet is a lot simpler. Double spoiler is.
Yeah, that's gonna be it for today.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, take care, everyone. So we are out of here. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. And until next time on STG Weekly. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Till next Touhou. Fuck it. Hate saying Touhou. Alright, we out of here.